Well, hello everybody. I'm Laura Caruso, and this is your Welcome to World History and its Expression in the Arts video. I wanted to give you a quick orientation to our class website and also explain a few things that it's important that you do prior to actually beginning the class material. So at this point, if you're watching this video, you are logged on, you have set up an account, a username, a password, and you're into our PowerSchool class. Let's take a look around and see what that looks like and what you should be finding. So parents, very important, this first page is primarily aimed at you. There are a couple places where students will want to be referring throughout the year, but you will find kind of basic documents here. So first thing I'd like to point out for parents is please review this block. It's his story. Read that together with your student. I just want to kind of reset the stage and the background for what it is that we're endeavoring to do this year in world history. Then over here on the right, you see basic world history class documents. And so throughout the year, this is a place to check back. I'll be updating the calendar. There could possibly be, other documents that you may need to have access to, and I'll always place them there for you so you have easy access to those documents. The first one you'll find in that box is our syllabus, the document that's our syllabus book list and registration form. So you've had access to that already, but if you should ever need to print it out again, here's an easy place to find it. Also, if you've not already filled out this form, this registration form, and become official, that is the last page of that document. So please go ahead and print that, fill it out, and you can scan it back to me or snail mail it, either way. And of course, if you don't already have your $50 deposit in for the class, that needs to come on as well. And speaking of deposit and payments and things, your payment information is here as a document, so you can have ready access to that as a PDF document. So it'll open here. So here it all is with the dates that payments are due, where to mail checks, and if you prefer to use PayPal, how to do that. So all of that information you'll find there as well. And then finally, I have a good number of students who are going to be attending the Third Thursday live classes where I lecture live once a month in Orlando. So if you are one of those families, the calendar is here. We'll look quickly at that, which shows you which Thursdays I'll be lecturing live and which lecture I'll be presenting that day. So it'll be important that you kind of track with this schedule so that you're up to date and ready to receive the lecture that we're giving on the given date, that I'm giving on the given date. All right, I think that covers that box. Books and supplies, again, this was all in your syllabus document, but of course the textbook that we'll be using sporadically throughout the year, I really am not a huge textbook fan, but we will have some assignments taken from this World History for Christian Schools, second edition. You should be able to find it fairly inexpensively used online, or by asking around. If you know folks who've taken my class before, likely they'll have a copy of that somewhere. And then, guys, you do need 3-ring binders, and I've had various reports from folks about how big those binders need to be, but substantial. So I said two 2-inch ring binders. I hope that makes sense. So fairly good size, one for the first semester, one for the second semester. Along with page protectors, I'm asking that the lecture note sheets that you print out week to week, go ahead and put them in page protectors. The reason being, if you just hole punch them and put them in the ring binder, you know what happens. They tend to start ripping and falling out. And you really need to have access to that information throughout the year. You are creating your own textbook. So parents, that's something else to keep in mind, is that week to week, your student will go to that given week, like you see over here on the left-hand side of the screen. They'll click the proper week, and they will have note sheets that they'll need to download, average of 12 sheets that'll need to be printed. So be sure that you've budgeted for that to happen as well, for those 12 sheets to be printed, then filed back-to-back in page protectors once they're filled out. So page protectors, best pricing I've found are on larger boxes of them, available at some of your big box stores like Sam's Club, Costco, and usually you can find a box of 200 for, or excuse me, I think maybe a box of 100 for $10. I think that's right. The rest of the supplies are pretty standard fare, but just be sure that you've looked through and that you have those ready to go. The 10 stick-on tab dividers can be colorful or plain. Guys, these are little tabs that stick on. I'm going to pause and grab a sample for you. So this was my American history notebook, and I'll just open and show you. It's like heavy. So it's these little guys that can just stick on to the edge of the page protector. And what you're going to be doing is, I have it upside down. I do, sorry. Creating divider pages that then go into a page protector, and then you'll label that section with this little stick-on divider. So you'll need 10 of those. That guy down. You are already watching the video, so I don't need to remind you of that. But in this box in a moment, clearly I can't post the video till I finish recording it, but in this box that you see over here, you'll have two videos. You have this one that you're watching, and then also I'll repost the link to the original long orientation video, just in case, again, you should ever need to access that, the main orientation for world history. Then, parents, this is really important. Actually, before I talk about that, let me talk about the toolbox over here on the right. This is where students may need to make use of the welcome page from time to time. So your toolbox is here. These are resources that I may refer you to regularly. If you're defining words, I may ask you to do so from the Webster's 1828 dictionary. It's very interesting how definitions, how our language has changed. And as many of you know, if you've taken logic courses, defining our terms is very important. And if we want to understand what those who came before us were talking about, we need to define words as they did. So oftentimes I will refer you to Webster's 1828 dictionary. The link is right here, so it'll take you right there where you can type in, the word that you need to define. All right, let's get back here. Also the Answers in Genesis website throughout our study of ancient history, that can be a useful resource to you. The Associates for Biblical Research and Archaeology is another one that may be helpful as we study ancient history. I also posted just an article that's a great read on the function of biblical archaeology. And finally, a link to the ESV Bible. Guys, I don't have a problem with the King James Bible. I just, for standardization and homework, I'll ask you to use the ESV when you're quoting scripture, just so that we're all kind of on the same page. And it's what I'll be quoting from as well, unless I indicate otherwise. Okay, so there's your toolbox. And then finally, parents, this is important. So go ahead and, read through this introductory statement, but it's just really imperative that you understand that you are the primary instructors for this course. So you're making use of me as a resource to provide the lectures and the outline, the skeleton for the class, along with everything that you need to evaluate your students' work. So hopefully it's all there for you. And I am available to you. I want to be an active resource that you tap into. So feel free to email, to call, and I can be helpful to you. But at the end of the day, you are responsible for evaluating and assigning your students weekly grades. So this document will be very important for you to read through. I'm going to just open it and pop it up on the screen there. Okay, here it is. So we print this out. If you'll read it through carefully, important that you have access to the website. So if your students set up the username and password without you, they must share it with you. You need to have access. There's a gradebook function. When we go back in just a moment, I'll show you, but you'll need to have access to their gradebook, but you'll also be the person submitting those numerical grades to me to pop into the gradebook. Let's see. Then I don't want to go through this all verbally. If you'll read through this, it really talks you through, my recommendations for the homework process and how to be involved with your student in that. All right, let me see if there's anything else to get extra help. Please, you're welcome to call me, but I really encourage students to do that. It is my pleasure to talk them through some of the questions, to help them reason. So if you're stuck, you should be their first stop. But if you guys are stuck, please have them give me a call. I'm happy to chat with both of you or one of you to work through the assignments. Okay, and then this last bit, assigning the numerical grade, is done by you, the parent. So you'll use a detailed rubric. Also, every week you will have a sample assignment, so exactly kind of what it should look like. Obviously, the content is going to vary a little bit, but it's just a sample so that you have a good idea of what your student should be producing week to week. And once you've evaluated that work and decided they got an 88, you'll simply email me and say, week 14 was an 88, and I pop that into the gradebook on your behalf. I think I mentioned that for accountability's sake, I like for students to go ahead and when it's a written assignment, to go ahead and upload that document as a PDF there's a place for them to do that every week. And that just helps me to know that they're actually doing the homework. And it allows me to go in from time to time to check and see, like, are they meeting the minimum standards? Is there something I'm not communicating well and I need to make some adjustments throughout the year? So I really encourage them to do that and stay on top of it so I can kind of track and see how everybody's doing throughout the year and check in with you as families if I need to. All right. Follow up, filing, that's all there for you all to read, but please do read through it and then let me know if you have any questions about that. All right, let's pop back over to the main page. That's our parent page. And then students, you need to head over to PreClass review material. And on this page, we have some helpful videos. So I would encourage you to watch these short videos. Again, some of you are older students, and this will be a review for you. But sometimes I get, an 8th grader who's taking a class, or somebody who's really not been in a formal setting before, or not done much formal writing before. And plagiarism is an issue. Sometimes we can do it without even meaning to. So I would just encourage you to watch this video on plagiarism. I take it very seriously. Guys, I like for you to use other people's information because it helps support your ideas. So, in fact, I strongly encourage you to, require you to pull supporting quotes and to use, obviously, you have to use other people's information. But when you do, you must cite the source. So this talks you through some of that, these videos. Also, this year, we will be using the MLA format. And again, that can be new for folks. And while there's lots of grace as you get started, and we're not taking tons of points off in those first few weeks, but pretty quickly, you should be able to get up to speed in producing a professional-looking homework assignment. So this video takes you through kind of setting up basic MLA format if you're working in Word docs, if you're working in Google Docs, or if you're working in Pages for Apple. If there's something else you're working in, I'm sorry, I didn't find the video. I bet you can figure it out. You guys are usually more tech savvy than I am. This last video is about, again, how to cite that information so that you aren't plagiarizing. So it talks you through kind of what that looks like, those in-text citations. Important for you, so you already have kind of a homework assignment, students. Before we ever get started with the actual content of the course, I need you to come over here and download this document, How to Do Homework for Mrs. Caruso's Class. And it looks like this, and it's 10 pages, and you need to print it out. And it needs to go in your notebook right behind your syllabus. So syllabus first, and then that document. So I would like you to review that document very closely and then go ahead and take a quiz on that document, which you'll find, let's come right back here, right here. You'll click on this link for the quiz and it'll take you over and you have some matching and you have some multiple choice questions. Really, I'm just trying to get you used to taking a PowerSchool quiz, and it's totally open book and you can take as long as you want. So everybody should do really well on this quiz and be off to a great start with your quiz average, but I really need you to work through this document because it's telling you what the expectations are for our class. Just to take a quick look at a few things, I'm not going to read through everything, but this first part covers the process. Guys, please read this and read this with your parents, because what we're not doing in this class is read the chapter, answer the questions at the back. I mean, very occasionally will I do something like that, and where it's simply go back, look in here, find the answer, copy it over. It's kind of not my style. I want you reasoning. I want you thinking critically. So you're going to be, taking sometimes a couple sources, reading them, thinking about them, and then I'll ask you questions that will require some thought. some producing ideas of your own, and then supporting, okay, well, here's what I think based on what I just read in this article. So you'll use supporting quotes, but it's your thoughts. I want to see you thinking and relating. So anyway, that process is described right here. Please review that. It's on the quiz. I even talk you through, like, at the end of your process, to make sure that you're incorporating the question that I've asked back into your answer, so I know what you're talking about. What was the importance of Brunelleschi's dome? If a student just writes beauty and utility, you get no points. Okay, you're starting to hit what's important, but it's not a complete sentence. You can't ever, if all you write is beauty and utility for number 1, you won't know what you're talking about. When you go back to review that homework, you'll have no idea. So you have to repeat that question back. What was the importance of Brunelleschi's dome? Brunelleschi's dome was important because it combined 2 important architectural elements, and then you go on to explain them. So anyway, please read slowly and carefully through this process. What I'm hoping that you go through as you produce really well thought out answers to the homework questions. So there's your process. Then we get into some of the MLA standards, 8.5 by 11 white paper, creating a header that numbers all pages consecutively. Guys, the way you create the header is described to you in that video link about setting up your MLA paper in Pages or Google Docs or whatever. So it'll tell you how to do that. Also how to do your ID block, which is up in the left-hand corner of your paper. It's just double spaced like everything else, and so it'll teach you how to do that. How to do titles. Every paper that you turn in should have a title. Your title should not be Homework Week 5. Okay? Again, not helpful to you when you're flipping back through and trying to find something, studying for an exam or answering something else when I've asked you to look back. So when you do your homework on ancient Egypt, it needs to at least say ancient Egypt or, ancient Egypt and its religious beliefs, or whatever it was, that some kind of topic to prompt your brain so that as you flip back through, you'll know, you'll be able to find easily what you're looking for. So do not title it, again, do not title it Week 10 Homework. Title it topically. I'm just skimming through here. So you'll read through all these things about how we use quotation marks in MLA, and then some basic standards and tips for writing. These are just things I've run into over the years. I'm not the English teacher. I am not the grammar teacher. But guys, it's important that you communicate well. We want those wonderful big ideas that you're grasping. We want to practice communicating them well. And part of the way we do that is in the MLA presentation. And part of the way that we do that is by using correct spelling and grammar and tenses and all of that. So again, I'm going to be asking your parents to be watching for those things. And here are a couple things, pitfalls I find that people fall into is tense switching. You can read over and see what that is. Referring to historical figures by their first name. So when you're writing, you do not call George Washington George. He's not your friend. You don't know him. So he is Washington to you. Julius Caesar is not Julius. So he'd be Julius Caesar to you, etc. Typically, we'll write in third person unless I've asked you a question specifically for you, tell me what you think of this, then you would say I, right? But typically, you're going to be writing in third person, he, she. So I've, kind of trying to review in your mind, what is third person? So we want to stay in third person when you're writing academically. And not say, well, Mrs. Caruso, as you know, this, that, and the other. No, we're going to stay in third person. It is clear that instead of that, so stay it is clear, not you. All right, and then a little bit about InText Citation. You'll have a video to go over that as well, but please read through the document about how to do InText Citation. And then, guys, InText Citation, what you're doing is citing the sources that I have given you to use that week. So you may be referencing a website that I link you to and an article from a magazine that week. Well, I'm going to give you the works cited information. So the stuff that will go at the end of the homework, I am going to provide for you. You don't have to generate that. This is probably the hardest part. Well, I'm going to give it to you in a little box every week so that all you have to do is come in and grab it like this and like that, and copy and paste it into your homework at the end. And then when you're citing your sources throughout the document, for example, if we're citing the textbook, that's what the assignment was that week, you'd cite, whatever you had to say, quote, 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 Fisher, and the page number. Fisher 35 would be in parentheses. Or if you were quoting the other source I had assigned that week, which was How Should We Then Live by Francis Schaeffer, then you would have Schaeffer 72, or whatever page you pulled from. And again, the article that I post will have page numbers, so you'll know how to cite it in text. So your responsibility will be to actually put the citations in your homework answers, but you don't have to come up with this list. Okay? I will give that to you every week, and you'll copy and paste it at the end of your homework assignment so that we know what sources you pulled from for that assignment. Now, very important, when you copy and paste it from the PowerSchool site where I have it, and you put it in your document, almost always it's going to paste in as the wrong font, the wrong size, it comes in gray, etc. And so what you need to do after you've pasted it is be sure that you highlight it and turn it back into Times New Roman 12, black font, double spaced, hanging indent. But again, I go over all that right here. That hanging indent, guys, is when you have 2 lines for a resource. If it spills over, then that second line in MLA is indented just like this. So kind of weird, hard to get used to, but it just is MLA, and we'll just do it. Let's see if there's anything else down here. Oh, the notebook. So again, notebook is important. This is your record of learning, and I really want it to be something that you take ownership of, that you're proud of. And guys, I've been doing this a long time, long enough to know that former students have told me that these notebooks have become valuable resources for them in future life. Some of them, they'll carry them off to college with them, knowing that they'll be able to at least get started on some of their projects by referring back to their history notebook. So I encourage you to take good care of it, to, again, make it your own. That does not mean doodling and being all crazy and artwork everywhere, okay, truly. But adding maps, adding things that are important to you as we move through is absolutely fine. Keeping it, all in order and with what it's supposed to be with. You'll be filing your homework assignments. For example, when we get to Henry VIII, you'll do a homework assignment on Henry VIII, and that homework assignment doesn't get filed in the back somewhere. It gets filed right next to the note sheets that you filled out on Henry VIII, so that all your Henry VIII stuff is in one place. Or when you do your homework on Egyptian religious practices, you're going to file that with the note sheets that you just completed on Egypt, so that it's all together and relevant. I hope that makes sense. All right, and then I did include this. And guys, truly, I've gotten more than one of these notes, and it so blesses my heart. But people really do actually use their notebooks. Here, I'll just read out. Hi, Mrs. Crusoe. I just wanted to say thank you for teaching me history, making us use all those page protectors and keep our notebooks organized. At the time, I despised page protectors. You get it? I didn't see why I needed to keep everything so organized, because normally I don't look back on school books. However, I've been writing a lot of papers this year, and I've been working on a lot of speeches, and your notebooks have helped me so much. I now know how to use MLA Format from you, since you expected quality work. I also have been able to write persuasive papers and use a lot of the note sheets for references, because my papers incorporate many history references. I just wanted to let you know how grateful I am for you expecting quality work from us, teaching us way more than just events that took place. And I thank you for making us use page protectors. There you go, testimonial, you guys. So the notebook standards are listed below. Your notebook will be evaluated twice throughout the year to be sure that it's in order, that it's been kept up to date properly. And then here at the end, I've just said, remember, guys, these rules aren't to nitpick you or to discourage you. Truly, all of the homework assignments occasionally, map work is busy work. Guys, it's not busy work. Know that I'm choosing things purposefully, and that the homework that you're given is truly meant to equip you for excellence in fulfilling the calling that God has on your life. All right, that's it for your little introduction to world history. Y'all go for it and let me know if you have any questions.